everyone. Welcome to another episode of Coach Me. I'm Vic Sorrell in Nashville, Tennessee, one of your hosts.
And I'm Candice Rooney, joining you from Austin, Texas.
Hi, everyone. I'm Des Stevens, and I'm the founder of Radiant Coaches Academy, and we train holistic coaches, including Megan Johnson Rox, who's with us today. We're so honored to have her. She is originally from Illinois, currently living in Tennessee. She is a coach, she is a trainer, she is a professor, she's a lot of things, including a punk rock star. So we're excited to have Megan here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Megan, so I have to say that I took a little gander at your website this morning, and the first thing I saw was a rock star. Is that you that's in the picture?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I love it.
An epic picture that this
Yes.
girl photographer I know shot.
Yes. So love that. And also the fact that you have a tagline on the site that says, "Confidence comes from within, and I'm here to help you activate it." So my first question is, how do you help someone activate their confidence that comes from within?
Good question. Well, I feel like I can't help people do something unless I've experienced it and had to learn it myself. And so I just feel like in my personal development journey, that has been the underlying theme and thing is just self-confidence. And now that I'm really trying to step into more leadership roles, that little ugly thing has just been rearing its ugly head. And so I've just noticed that is just a theme in so many different areas of life, whether you're blocked or, blocking yourself, self-sabotaging yourself in whatever goals or aspirations or dreams, following your passions, that kind of thing. Yeah, I just feel like helping people recognize where they might be their own block and getting in their own way, and where self-confidence might be at play is just what I like to do.
Yeah. Is there a certain question you can think that you sort of have in your hip pocket to go to say, to get to this self-confidence? Yeah.
Well,
Peace.
actually, so I'm going through this coaching course right now through the Coach Training Institute. And the guy's name is Shiraz Shameen. He, Positive Intelligence is the book he wrote. And so on his site, Positive Intelligence, he has a free quiz, a self-assessment quiz that anyone can take. And it is so valuable. It helps show where, I think it's called self-saboteur. And so there's just 8 different types of judges that we have that he's kind of categorized. And that has been really illuminating to me. So I just like doing self-assessments, exercises. I don't know that there's one specific thing I could share or say to help people with self-confidence, other than just, like on a blog, sharing my story and helping people recognize that if there's something they think they can't do, let's look at what you might be doing to block yourself, and just, helping with self-awareness.
Got it.
I feel like I know, just in general, a lot of people deal with confidence issues, and it's anywhere from physical to performance to just within their own families and their role. In regards to just like physical self-confidence, is there something or a particular thing that you feel tends to be like a turning point for people to help them like overcome that struggle?
It's so different for everyone. Just because each person has, whatever their past experiences that have caused them to have negative, self-sabotaging, coping mechanisms to get through stressful times, or, self-preservation techniques that are just habits. yeah, it's really different for everyone.
Megan's bringing up such an important point, and then in coaching, every single client goes through an individual experience, and every session is different in and of itself, which is kind of remarkable. I know Megan being also a trainer and a professor and a consultant with communications and all that. What if a corporate group said to you, hey, we need you to come in and do, I don't know, confidence for managers or confidence in leadership or something like that? Would you do like group coaching? How would you kind of handle a client like that?
Sorry, my cat's jumping on my lap. What was the last question?
So sometimes a corporate entity might say, we want to hire you to work, with the middle managers. So many people are quitting because of them. They don't have the confidence to delegate, or they're not really teamwork. They're kind of, dictating to their teams. So they need to be more confident in their leadership skills. What would you first do with a group like that wanted to hire you?
I would work with probably the manager first, because it requires obviously some self-awareness on his or her part. And then when you work with the team, putting the team together is also obviously important, because this manager probably didn't have very good communication with his team members. And so having that facilitating team discussions that probably should have happened, and opening up the conversations, and encouraging him or her manager to communicate with each of the team members that he might need to have specific, more personal conversations with. But I love doing circle method with teams, and just a kind of a bringing in, and I'm determined to bring in spirit in the workplace. And so surprisingly, so many people don't mind when I do like a meditation at the beginning of a group circle, and have them bring sacred objects and have them discuss that to help with building team trust. And so, I don't know, breaking out of what I used to think was, spirit doesn't belong in the workplace, but that's where people can, I feel like, shed so much of judgment and become more self-aware and recognize their perception of others, is when you bring spirit in the room. And I think I'm big into mindfulness space, MSBR, mindfulness-based stress reduction. And so compassion is a big component of that. And I just feel like that kind of breaks the barrier of people, when someone has behaved badly to you, maybe it's the manager who's behaved not so nicely and not in the best ways to his team members, helps with really getting to that resentment that might have been built up, and just having compassion and seeing, oh, we're all looking at each other face to face in the circle. We're all human. And it's kind of is like magic, just watching the humanity come out. So that's the best place to start.
And a lot of times, a part of our humanity is bringing implicit bias into dynamics. Can you talk a little bit about that, your work with implicit bias, what it actually means, and how you work with folks to mitigate that?
Yes. I have always loved, so my graduate training is in interpersonal and intercultural communication. So I've always loved studying, and communication is really just a combination of psychology and sociology. So studying how systems in your culture affect how you perceive and your styles of communication. And so I just loved diving in. I've done, a 10-year, I'm just a researcher lover at heart. So I've dove into studying it was just fascinating to me that all these things that affect our perception affect how we see other people's behavior, and then how we see ourselves and how we react and respond. And so being able to recognize that there are these things that have become unconscious, and implicit. I like to call it unconscious bias, because, yeah, I can have a long explanation as to why that is, but the point is it's not conscious. And it's almost like people struggling with addiction have this thing in them that they're not able to control it, but yet it's affecting their behaviors and decisions. Same with bias. Things that we've learned from, school, family, our culture, church, just media especially, has taught us these beliefs and norms and values that we're not consciously aware of, and yet they are affecting how we're viewing other people, and they're affecting our decisions. And it's not always bad, but it can be. And so helping people to become more aware of this and not let this thing that they're not in control of affect them, and get them to start becoming more aware of it and in control of it. I'll give you an example. So let's say you have a friend or a coworker who's, has like an annoying, sarcastic humor. Maybe you think it's funny. Sometimes you might just roll your eyes and be like, oh, okay, whatever. And then one day you just wake up on the wrong side of the bed, or maybe you had like, a new health issue or something, personally that's stressing you out in your personal life. And then you come, around that person or come to work one day, and all of a sudden they are just, you're finding them so offensive, and you're taking it personally, and it's not them that's changed. They're their same old person. It's you that has changed. And so being aware, it's really just all about self-awareness, aware of how things that have happened to you or caused you to view something differently affects your perception of it.
I'm actually going to lead this into our social media question for the day because it is related. And the question is, what is the difference between unconscious and subconscious? And how does that affect us?
Oh, someone asked that when I posted on the Radiant Coaches Facebook page. And I can't honestly remember it was such a good definition, because unconscious, darn it, do I have time to look it up?
You can look it up while I'm going to say something
Okay.
about that, because I love the work of Dr. Catherine Culat, who talks about really, those terms can be interchangeable, but the unconscious is deeper. The subconscious is almost between the conscious and the unconscious. So, for example, beta, if you think about, I'm trying to remember the order, beta, alpha, theta, and eventually delta, when we're going deep into the subconscious, unconscious state. There's this lucid dreaming, there's this, I'm aware that I'm falling asleep, but I'm not quite there yet, and controlling your dreams. And as you get deeper and deeper, the unconscious is this part that you cannot even tap into, even if you tried, kind of place. It's like the psoas muscle in your body. No matter how many pigeon poses in yoga you do, it's hard to access and relax that muscle. But it's such a vital muscle in the body that's controlling, your legs and your hips together. So for me, what I'm learning, and I'm not an expert, but what I learn is, so I'm conscious, I'm awake, I'm talking, I'm aware of my awakeness. And as I'm falling asleep or I'm deep meditation, Shavasana and yoga class is a great example. Like I'm awake, but I'm almost asleep, right? That's probably, beta, maybe alpha, going into alpha. So those are levels of the subconscious. And then when you get way deep, you're heading more into the unconscious. Is that what you found, Megan?
Yes, similar. So it's on medium.com. Maybe I can give you the link if you're interested in posting it below this for people. So your subconscious holds the data right below the surface, things you know, but they may take a moment to dredge up. For instance, your childhood phone number is stored in your subconscious. It's there, yet it might be hard to recall quickly on the spot. Once you focus your attention on something in your subconscious mind, you can recall it pretty quickly. It's part of your working memory. It includes both controlled and automatic data. It's controlled data is the information you've taken in consciously, like your childhood phone number. You've controlled the input of it, meaning at some point you knew the information entered your brain. And there's a mechanism in your brain which knows where this data is stored and how to retrieve it. There's a little more about that, but for time's sake, the unconscious, so that was subconscious. Prefix "on" means not, as in not conscious. So it's not seen, not understood. Your unconscious is made up of data which you do not know and have never, except in the case of trauma, had conscious awareness. So as you're reading this article, you're taking in more than 40,000 neural impulses. If you're ordinary consciousness, you're maybe aware of 5,000 of these. So kind of like there's a lot going on. There's a dog barking outside. I'm not paying attention to all the stimuli, yet it's coming into my brain somehow. So the rest of all this is ushered through the back door without your knowledge and still in your mind. Your unconscious is measuring things like barometric pressure, gravity, temperature. Wow. And so
You're so beautifully complex, aren't we?
oh my
So
God.
I have a question, coach to coach. Self-awareness, like you said, is an important part of, maybe there's something I'm not aware of. It's living in my subconscious. But like, what's the next step of that? When you work with your clients and they become aware of their unconscious bias or whatever it might be, what do they do with that information? Do you guide them to what's the next step after self-awareness?
Turning that into a habit of, oh, that's how that affected my perception here, my behavior here, decision here. Okay, and then you use that as like a learning tool to help them every time then they're about to perceive, make a judgment or make a decision based on their perception. They might, like I know I've talked about before, like perception checking exercise. That helps change our habits of automatically assuming that our perception of something is 100% accurate, because most likely it is not 100% accurate. And yeah, so just that's a great tool. And really, in general, unconscious bias recommendations are, here's situations where you can stop yourself and think outside of the box that you normally wouldn't have. You would have just gone on autopilot before you go into enter a meeting, for example, and just forces you to change things up in your mind. And it's like an exercise, like a muscle. You start to not go on autopilot and you start to broaden your scope of what you think is possible in your perception, and can more easily not be controlled by automatically, assuming what you see is 100% true.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of power in that, in realizing that truth, that there's more logic in addition to our own logic, and more perception in addition to just that which we can see and feel and touch, and et cetera. What is an example of a perception exercise? Like how would you do one, for instance?
Okay, yeah. So the one I teach my students is just the best tool. So I share it with everyone. If you're perceiving someone's behavior, let's say, here's a good one, because everyone has had a boss at some point, and you think your boss doesn't like you maybe for some reason, because of the way they've talked to you. And so it's forcing yourself to come up with possible alternate reasons for their words or their behavior. So usually it's come up with what are two possible ways that this person might have behaved that way? And it's forcing you to think, oh, maybe it's not just me. Maybe that my, first perception, maybe it's not that they don't like me. Maybe, I don't know, they are struggling with a personal thing in their life right now. Maybe they're getting, all sorts of reasons you can concoct. You don't have to be a psychoanalyst to just, come up with possible alternative reasons. And then sometimes the third step is necessary. Other times it's not applicable. So once you've come up with possible reasons, you can go talk to the person, and if it warrants having a conversation, saying, hey, when you said this, I'm just, curious, and always come at it from a place of curiosity, not, hey, you're being a jerk. Are you acting like this way, or is it this way? Definitely matters how you approach it, and really genuinely try to be open and say, it's kind of a way to open the door of communication and talk about it without automatic judgment.
So I think that's good. We all need those tools, and because we're going to always encounter situations in life that are going to challenge us. And so, the more diverse our toolbox, the more powerful we are. Something that we love to do is give our guests an opportunity to see coaching happen live. If you are willing, we typically give our guests an opportunity to be coached, or to coach themselves, meaning coach one of us, or watch the coaching happen. So if you had your druthers, as they say, which you do, what would your preference be?
I hadn't planned on coaching this morning, but I guess.
Well, and that's the beauty of it. Now, you don't have to. You can watch it happen, or you can coach if you'd like, or be coached. You could even take a ride in the coachee seat if you'd like.
Yeah, well, I'm being willing to be vulnerable and
Love it.
Either be coached or I can coach. One thing I found, because I'm part of a weekly practice coaching group, which with a woman who's a PCC, so kind of like been amazing. And it keeps, the hardest part I feel like for me right now is getting people to focus on what is the real thing that you want to walk away with today. And it's so hard, especially, in first sessions. And so I feel like even just getting to the point where they can figure out what is a first step that I want to focus on? What is it that I want to do or feel here?
So fellow Libra, if you were the most decisive person in the world right now, would you choose to be coached, to coach, or to watch coaching unfold?
Thanks. I love how you understand me.
Of course. I get it. Totally. That's why I can say it. I know. I totally get it.
I think it'd be fun to be a coach.
Perfect. All right. Do you have an inclination? No, I'm not going to do that. How would you feel about coaching Candice?
Sure.
Okay. Resounding yes.
Okay.
Ta-da. Go for it.
Hi, Candice.
Hi, Megan.
So what would you like to work on today?
It's a good question. I feel like I'm definitely in what you just mentioned, like trying to focus on what's the goal.
Oh, wait, what? But how long is this, by the way? Are you going to step in?
We could do about 5 minutes or so, 5 or 6.
Okay.
This is kind of broad, but I'm feeling anxious about the future. And I'm just wanting to feel like everything's going to be okay. And I don't really know what steps I don't know if this makes sense. I don't know what steps to take or if I'm making the right steps. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
Lacking confidence, I guess.
Okay. Being uncertain certainly is a common feeling and thought these days. And it can be really hard. So if you could think of one thing that you want to feel at the end of the session, you said your lack of confidence. Would you want to feel confident in your next step, or what would you like to walk away with?
Yes, confidence in my next step, just certainty that it's all going to be okay. Because what's ahead of me are two good potential options. Like there's no, it can't go wrong type of thing. Like one is moving abroad and one is staying in the States for a job opportunity. And they're both good options.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like, I don't have that like, it's gonna be okay no matter what. You know, I have that like uncertainty. So I guess just feeling more, confident, feeling okay with whatever happens.
Okay. And you said that the first thing you said was feeling okay. What does that look like or feel like to you? If you could describe it.
I guess it's just this inner peace. I don't feel inner peace, and I want to feel inner peace. You know, have like, I don't know if it's doubt, it's a lack of inner peace.
Okay. And is there, sounds like you have two excellent choices.
Yes.
Is there a doubt that you'll make a decision, one of them that doesn't feel like it would give you inner peace?
I think that's what I don't know. One is, starting over in a brand new place. I don't know anyone. And then the other one is staying in what's familiar and being near family. But, if I think, okay, that works out, I'm not automatically like, oh, okay, great. Or maybe it's because I don't know which one's really going to happen. I'm just in this like limbo period. So maybe once I do know, I'll feel peace. It's just the not knowing that's like driving me crazy,
Yes, I know the feeling. Okay, so it sounds like the decision will be made for you, or things will unfold and then you'll have more peace when that happens.
Yeah.
So in the interim, how do you think you could be more at peace with the unknown?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I have my spiritual practice. I practice my meditation. I do rosary. Like I do things that what I know to do. But yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Okay, so in the past you've been doing, you said, your rosary meditation, did you say?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And what else?
So I do meditation, and I also do a rosary separate.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. What else could you do?
I don't know. Like, I guess I keep telling myself to just go with the flow. Just go with the flow. Don't worry about it. Before, I was like obsessively researching wherever I was going. I'm just trying to be planned, prepared. And then I reached a point where I was like, you know what? You don't know where you're going yet. So just stop. Just stop doing what you're doing and go with the flow. And so I would say in the past week, that's what I've been doing. I've been not looking at anything, not looking at like apartments, not looking at groups, just being, and I do feel better. But I do feel better. I am just, I think I'm just a little like nervous or just maybe stressed, like naturally.
Yeah, well, it's understandable. Those are big life-changing events.
Yeah. But in reality, like I know it's gonna be okay. Like I know everything is gonna be okay. I do know that. And I have trust that it will be okay. So yeah, I guess I just keep going with the flow.
Okay.
And resting.
So is the feeling you want to feel when you go with the flow, what is that feeling?
It's releasing. It's just not being attached to things. I guess if I really center myself in the go with the flow, I release all attachments that I have to things. I think what I've been doing is I've been wanting to go with the flow, but resisting the flow, if that makes sense. And I think I really just need to center myself back into just allowing things to happen, not trying to control it. Yeah.
And thinking about that, does that give you a little bit more confidence?
It does. Yeah. I feel slightly more relieved. I feel like I could take a deeper breath at this moment.
Okay, good.
Good job.
I know you said 5 minutes. Normally in a session, I would also say, okay, let's do action steps that you can, what's going to stop you from doing this, every day and when you start to feel that again. But
yeah.
I liked how the two of you showed coaching it's a conversation, right? Mm-hmm. And I love, Candice, how you're bringing up, oh yeah, that flow thing, that's a great idea. But when you start to try to do it, you're like, I don't know about this flow thing. I don't even know if I know how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm good with the concept, but really being in the flow, it's hard. It's not easy.
Which I think brings up another really interesting point in the fact that you ended it with a deeper breath.
Yeah.
And maybe we're not all the way to the flow or where we feel like we're in the flow, but just getting to a place where we do feel any sense of relief or any sense of change is so important, to be able to just acknowledge that incremental difference and keep moving toward it, right? And I love that you ended it with, I feel like I could take a deeper breath. That sounds like a song title to me, so I'll be right back.
I can feel it in my belly.
So if, as the audience, you may have felt this urge to problem solve for Candice, and what Megan showed so beautifully is that's not what coaches do. Coaches allow the client to get there themselves. And it would be so easy to be like, oh my gosh, you should totally, move abroad. That sounds so romantic. Or like, oh no, you should totally stay in your comfort zone. We don't give advice. We don't lead. We don't guide. We are in support. And Megan was in a very supportive position there. That was beautiful.
Absolutely. Thank you, Megan.
Agreed. Yes. Thank you both for that experience.
Absolutely.
Thanks for sharing.
So Megan, how can we get in touch with you? What's the best way to reach you if we're interested in more journeys with Coach Rox?
Yeah, email Coach Megan J. Rox at Gmail, or my website, coach-rox.com.
Rox with an X.
Oh yeah, ROX.
And thank you so much. This was so fun.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun. Thanks for having me.
Thank you again, Megan.
Yeah.
See everyone soon.
We'll see you next time, everybody.